finds himself getting passed by multiple cars, as I mentioned earlier on. So Nurov in a very precarious situation, but he often finds himself in these places. He doesn't qualify as well as he races.
Up front, they are getting with Lee Aberdeen and Luca Varani not very far apart at all here. But I just want to see how Alistair Haight deals with Mugello Kessler coming around the old hairpin.
I would say it's not the best decision they've ever made, just not having done that under the safety car, really.
Yeah, they're taking their pit stop strategies from Ferrari lately or something. What's going on?
In turn one, just too much gas on them, too much feet on the down pedal, and unfortunately he's dropped him all the way down the order. But Philip Hammer is out in front by an 8.91 seconds. Dan Michael is a wall there, sir. And it definitely doesn't want to be hitting that earlier on as well.
Difficult, the understeer is in the dirty air through that final corner because it's such a long corner and you get dragged off into the grass very easily. He'll have the slipstream down in towards the chicane. Peterson was briefly alongside, but that slipstream has saved him and kept him in third.
Yeah, Varani now lost a little bit of time to Aberdeen, about half a second. Peterson is Pike's pushed Morton forward up ahead. He's got out of line. It's now Pike going to have a go at Werrell. Don't push him off. He's in the championship fight. Jack Werrell chasing down Carl Jacklin. Further down, Rob Williams and Chris Barnes.
Sensational run outside line now though for the heavy braking zone. Around the outside goes the Audi R8.
Look how much Miller's caught back into play. Exactly. Miller's still such trouble. He's left on second and change. All of a sudden, Miller's back in play.
Moving on to the back end of Phil Jocelyn. So there's been a lot of movers and shakers in this first 2 laps here for race.
Absolutely serious racing league. Everybody's a lot of fun. Yeah,
It's all about the entertainment, so I hope
everybody is enjoying themselves out there in the chat. We know that Ron is been enjoying himself watching. And the Burger King machine's off into the grass a little bit there as they're really bunching up now.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for MX5 action on AE. James Parfitt are going to be joined in the booth by Tom Cairns here this evening. Going to come and join me for this, what plans to be an absolute epic evening of racing. This is round 10 from the summer season live from Mugello. 5.19 kilometers in length. Lap times 2:07.63 at this moment in time. That has been done in this practice session. Let's look at the standings currently as they are. In the pro standings, Dan Hunt is out in front on 1,357 points. He has got literally Jamie Ayres at 1,150 points behind him. Then Jamie Wilson on 1,043 and Steve Hefford on 1,000. Alf Cullen 904, Pete Van Gaal on 807, Pete Newman on 701, and Martin Sampson 501, and 414 for Tom Griffiths on 116. In the AM Championship at this moment in time, it is Ollie Ricks out in front on 912 points with Darren McLean on 856, and then Roger Morton on 850, Charles Callum on 812, then Colin Sampson on 801, and you've got Darrell Wright, Fiona Stansford, Alan Toon, Andy Littler, Mick Barry, Arnold Chonier, Callum McPherson, and then Craig Jones, who is not done any of the series this season. In the overalls, this is the combined overall championship. Dan Hunt is out in front on 2874 with Jamie Ayres on 2511. Pete Van Gaal on 2272 with Jamie Wilson on 2240. Then Ralph Cullinan on 2102. Then Pete Newman, Steve Hefford, Tom Griffiths, Charles Kellerman, Colin Sampson, Darrell Wright, Fiona Siddons, Martin Sampson, Darren McLean, Andy Littler, Alan Toon, Steve Hansford, and Ollie Ricks. On from there, you've got Miles Owens, Roger Morton, Mick Barry, John Sylvester, Ewan Bramer, Callum McPherson, Arnold Chonier, Craig Jones, Dan Dennison, Dan Lewis, and Dries Neese to finish it off here. We have got 2 minutes remaining of practice before we go into qualifying. Let's bring Tom into the booth. Tom, how do you, sir? How are you?
Hello, James. Hello to everyone. We are arriving in Tuscany at the Mugello circuit, and it's a wonderful location for any form of motor racing to attend to. And I'm sure Dan Hunt will be making the most of his unchallenged lead, it has to be said, in the summer campaign of UkSimracers. But I'm sure he's got a job to be getting on to help build on that. 13 times a race winner in the summer campaign this season. Very, very consistent indeed. It explains why he earns the right to be at the top of the standings as he has been doing. We're approaching the end of practice. These drivers have had a lot of mileage so far. Judging by the timing page, we should have 15 because Pete Van Gaal is expected to compete this evening. But one driver who is not going to be is Jamie Wilson for health reasons. We all wish him to get well, and hopefully we'll be back to see him next week at Oschersleben. So it's tough luck, unfortunately, there for Jamie, but I'm sure he'll get through that just fine.
Yeah, I'm sure he will there as well, and hopefully Jamie will be back shortly and be able to come and rejoin us once more there, and should be a good one. Mugello circuit. Going to be a bit different for these guys. You know, we come out of, well, God, what was it? Road America. Was it Road America or Road Atlanta? I think it was last week as well. Road Atlanta. And literally, we've gone from a short sprint circuit to a kind of longer circuit here as well.
Yeah, but it's a fast-flowing one, is Mugello. 5.2 kilometres, 3.2 miles if you prefer miles to that. The best place to get the overtaking done is going to be the hairpin of San Donato, and I think pretty much everywhere else is going to be quite difficult to do. But with these cars, given the speeds of what they can do, we could see someone make a daring overtake, maybe into the last corner of Bacchini, and yeah, and even if they could get a move done into San Donato, they may have some side-by-side action into the remaining part of the lap, perhaps through Arrabbiata 1 and 2.
Yeah, they're quite interesting. I did get told off from a league owner as well in another series I did, who was at Mugello. He told me that Casanova Savelli is actually pronounced as one corner. It is not a right and a left. It's Casanova Savelli, which is a fast flowing right-left corner. It is actually pronounced as one. So there we go. A little bit of information for you once more. We're going into qualifying now. We've got 15 minutes of qualifying. What do we think these guys have got to contend with here as well, Tom? Because, as you say, a long circuit, long start-finish straight in conjunction with other circuits that we've been on. Are they going to be drafted in qualifying? Do we think it's something they're going to be able to do? Is it something they want to do? And will it be a true representation of their grid positions if they draft in quali?
Well, I don't think the grid positions will matter too much because we know how well these guys can compete, and we've seen before where drivers come through from the back to get towards the front in the space of a few laps. Although these are 15-minute races, for those of you who don't know how the race format works within UkSimracers, it's a 15-minute qualifying session to determine the grid for race number 1. At the end of the first race, the top 11 get reverse for race 2, and then race 3 is a randomised grid, and race 4 is a reverse grid of race number 3, of which we don't know for certain yet at this moment in time what positions get reversed for them.
Yeah, it is at this moment. We'll find out when we change over sessions, of course, going from round race number 2 to race number 3. So we will take a brief, short, probably about 6 to 7 minute break between race 1 and race 2. So it gives you enough chance to get a drink and sit back and enjoy these cars racing round this wonderful circuit that some people absolutely love. Some people don't love this circuit here, Tom. Have you had much racing done ever on Mugello, or have you just mainly sort of commed on it?
I've only commed on it so far. I mean, I think this is the first experience of commentating around Mugello. I mean, I've seen some racing around Mugello on the television screen, you know, particularly when we had the Tuscan Grand Prix in 2020, F1, F2, and Formula 3 had its season finale at that circuit, where Oscar Piastri took the Formula 3 title then, in a three-way showdown between him, Teo Pourchaire, and Logan Sargent. In other series, I've seen Formula Regional race here. We've seen Italian Formula 4 most definitely race here. And a fair few of... I think they have the MotoGP race at Mugello at some point in the season as the Italian MotoGP event, unless I'm mistaken with that. But I know that MotoGP race around Mugello anyway because a friend of mine has been to see the MotoGP riders race at this track. But it's a gorgeous circuit. It's quite a flamboyant one. There's such a feel about this track where you go to it, you feel the sunshine just blaring into you, and you just, the absolute view that you can get. It's almost like the view that you see on the cover of The Sound of Music, if you know where I'm coming from with it. It has that kind of feeling to it.
Can't say I have seen the cover of Sound of Music. I'm not entirely sure I've even watched it, to be blatantly honest with you, but I'm sure there's a meaning there as well. But I think with Mugello, in conjunction to other circuits, Mugello's still a baby. You know, it's been around since 1974, where it opened as well. It's on the, it's got the short course and the Grand Prix course, and at the end of the day, it is still fairly young. It doesn't hold quite historic memories as the likes of Spa or Monaco or other circuits, isn't it? It's quite a baby circuit in conjunction with Monza, for instance, and the other well-known circuits.
I can agree with that. I mean, it's 50 years since Mugello first opened its doors. I think it had some form of, I can't remember, I'm sure like decades before, I think it was used for something, was Mugello, unless I'm mistaken for something. It was a road course before they closed it and redesigned it as a Grand Prix circuit. So it was like a mixture of asphalt and concrete. So it's almost like a sort of like a rallycross type event, if I'm right with that, unless someone can correct me. Perhaps, I don't know, but I'm sure it was used for something before it was reopened in 1974 as a Grand Prix circuit.
Well, I can confirm, reading up on the circuit history, this saw action. The original was a course along public roads winding along 38 miles of the Tuscan countryside. This saw action from 1914 through to 1970. Names such as Giuseppe Campari, Enzo Ferrari, and local idol Emilio Materazzi were among the luminaries who raced on the old circuit de Mugello, which went from Scarperia uphill to Ferranzola, then through Vuta Pass and down to San Piero and Scarperia. So yeah, it was used for something. It was consisting of basically 8 laps at 66.2 kilometers per lap. Ouch. That is a long one there. That's almost Targa Florio long. Good evening, Phil. Welcome in. Thanks so much for joining us. We are in qualifying. It's going to take a little bit of time for these guys to get their lap times sort of dialed in. At the moment, we've got Ralph Cullinan sitting on pole position, the Irishman himself on a 209.041. Ollie Riggs in the AM sitting in second place here. So Ollie doing a great job sitting in second with Jamie Ayres, Pete Newman and Dan Hunt before that. So it should be very, very interesting to see how these guys get on here. And once again, I think just the circuit makeup, it lends itself down onto the run into turn 1. I think these guys are going to be looking down into turn 1, down into San Donato. You might get the odd one into Materazzi, but it depends on the run that they get out of turn number 3. But it's going to be interesting to see, I think, Tom. I think this could pretty... as Pete Newman is just about to go to pole. There you go. 207.647 for Pete Newman. The man from Pure Sins goes on to pole position, so great job from him. But I think this circuit overall should lend itself to great racing, and I think it could be very interesting to see who comes out on top here.
Yeah, well, I don't think there is a firm favourite who is going to come out on top. I think, to be fair, just so that you know, there are pros and AMs in this field, hence why there is the coloured key on the position board. You can see on the timing tower. So the yellow is pro and blue is AM. But given on his winning record so far this season, from 36 races, Dan Hunt has won 13 of those. And so we expect him to be amongst those to go for pole position. Pete Newman has gone to the top with his latest lap time, quite some way ahead of his nearest rival. I think he's about 8 tenths clear at least, is Pete Newman. But either way, we're starting to see a little bit of form in Pete Newman in qualifying, but the races of late is where he has been rather lacklustre.
Yeah, he has currently at the moment, but we'll see what happens. He had a rotten time at Road Atlanta last week as well. It was just rotten, with the pros split between Ayres, PVG and Dan Hunt taking 2, where the AMs was Darren McLean, Charles Kellerman, Roger Morton taking 2. So it was only there was only 2 races where back-to-back winners here as well. But going to be very, very exciting, and I think the draft is playing a massive part to what some of these guys' lap times are able to do. We've got Ollie Riggs sitting in 4th overall, Ralph Cullen in 5th, PVG in 6th. Then Colin Sanson 7th, Darryl Wright, Darren McLean, Steve Evan, Andy Littler, Fiona Seddons and Charles Kellerman. No times on the board from Sir Alan Toon or Carl Hardy yet, so we'll see how they get on and whether or not they can register as time. They got 6 minutes remaining. They're only going to get about... Well, the front runners will get 3 laps. Everybody else from about now will get 2. So we'll see how they get on here as well. A long old lap times, 207.65, Tom. You know, compared to Road Atlanta last week, which were down to sort of 134, kind of 135 stages. Another 30 seconds onto the lap here. It's going to be a battle of sort of who can keep the concentration the most at this tough circuit.
Yeah, I mean, there are 15 corners around this circuit of Mugello, and to be honest, the vast majority of them are very much either medium speed or high speed. I think the slowest corner of the circuit, you would probably say, is San Donato, and that's it. So it's going to add stress onto the tyres. You can just see that we're not seeing any improvements in any of the sectors. I mean, Dan Hunt is looking to improve on his time at the least anyway. He's 8 tenths down on what Pete Newman has produced. but it looks like what we are seeing on the time tower is pretty much what the first race is going to end up being. Carl Hardy and Alan Toon have yet to get times on the board as we speak. Carl Hardy's an interesting name because we've not seen him in the summer campaign. I don't know if you've come across him before,
Yeah,
James.
I know Carl from previous seasons of a different car variety. So yeah, I'm aware of Carl Hardy. He races TCRs, I believe, and MX5s, and once raced in the Clios for JPB. So I am aware of Carl from other series as well. I haven't seen him around for a while, so maybe he's had IRL things to get on with, shall we say, here once again. But he's joining UkSimracers this evening, so yeah, good to see him on track and see how he gets on.
So they're going around the last corner of Bacini. It's a lovely flare. I mean, I love the way the gradient sort of sucks you down towards the wide part of the circuit to sort of carry all the speed down the start-finish straight. It's a driver's dream to have that kind of experience, really. We don't see enough of that. You kind of have it at Portimao, for instance, the last corner where it sort of rides downhill before you go uphill towards the pit straight. And Mugello is rather similar to that.
Yeah, definitely. And it is an interesting concept of a circuit. I think, you know, the designers of this circuit did a good job putting it together. So I think it's going to be. I think these guys are going to make this work. Normally, what are you doing, Charles Kellerman? Sat on the. Oh, how did you end up there? I just want to have a look back and see how Charles Kellerman quite ended up there, to be blatantly honest. But I got a funny feeling he's going to run in. He's going to run in deep here, or is Fiona Siddons? Oh no, I'm not quite sure what that was from Charles Kellerman, but he ended up off the side of the circuit. Yeah, I think these drivers will make it work. I think at the end of the day, I've seen these guys overtaking the most absolute ludicrous positions ever on a race circuit. So I think. You know, it'll be interesting to see how these guys get on. I just want to keep an eye on old Sir Alan Toon. He is 71 years of age, bless him. So let's see how he gets on. He's got a green in sectors 2. What is Tooney going to do as he goes over the line? Another green on the end for Sir Alan Toon. How improved is he going to make it here? Doesn't look like Sir Alan Toon did. It looked like he invalidated that lap that time around.
No, I think he actually did improve. I think he improved by about half a second, but he's still some way off the pace compared to where he needed to be. So, yeah, that was actually an improvement on his previous best time.
Yeah. I was just waiting for everybody else to kind of going into the bits. Kellerman's in there, Van Gaal's on there, Ollie Ricks is in there, Dan Hunt's in there. No real improvements from anybody else, but this is that kind of period of time where the tyres do start to go off, so you don't generally get an improvement with about 4 to 5 minutes to go here. It's generally people running towards the back that are trying to improve and end up improving. So we'll see how they get on and whether or not there's going to be improvements. Doesn't look like there's an improvement. Is Carl Hardy going to get a lap on the board? Well, he's not registered as a lap yet. Round the final corner he goes. Let's see how he gets on. Dives into the pit lane. So no lap on the board for Carl Hardy. He's going to have to start from the back end. What, Steve Hefford with a minute to go. Still got some people out on circuit here though, Tom, but no real improvements.
No, and I think the drivers are pretty much consigned to where they're going to line up on the grid. Steve Hefford off the pace at the moment. He's in 10th place behind Darren McLean, who is in the AMS, but I don't think Hefford will be too fussed about that at this minute in time. I think I've noticed as well, I do think you get a couple of points for qualifying on pole. I didn't quite pick up on that beforehand, but I'm sure you do.
Right. Yeah, I haven't got anything down on the race point list that there's a point for pole position, so unless all of a sudden it's changed somewhere, but nothing registering in the rules. But hey, look, maybe it's been changed and maybe it's been added. If anybody can let us know at home, that would be absolutely amazing. We've got 10 seconds left of qualifying to go. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then we will be able to bring you up the grid for the first race of this evening. The grid is going to look like this very, very shortly. Pete Newman out in first with Dan Hunt in second with Jamie Heard in third. Then Ollie Ricks in fourth, Ralph Cullen in fifth. PVG in sixth, Colin Sampson seventh, Darrell Wright eighth, Darren McLean ninth, Steve Pfeffer 10th, Andy Littler 11th, and Fiona Siddons down in 12th place. And then on from that one, Charles Kellerman, Sir Alan Toon and Carl Hardy at the back end, who's going to have to start from the pit lane here, or not from the pit lane. There he is on the back end of your screen. You can see him there as well in that yellow and black and white liveried machine. So ladies and gentlemen, hold on to your hats, buckle up, because the first race is going to be green very, very shortly. Just waiting for Steve Evans and Charles Kellerman to get onto the grid, unless Mr. Kellerman did have a problem when we saw him go off the side of the circuit, and that could explain why he may not make it. Let's find out. He's got about 1 more minute. So unless Charles Cullerman does make it here as well. What do we think down in turn one, Tom? What do we think is going to happen?
Well, we could even see 4 wide. Given the nature of this race, Charles Kellerman is now on the grid. So I'll let you take it away, James.
Right, here we go. Kellerman has hit the grid now. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Ladies and gentlemen, round 10 is green, green, green. Pete Newman taking the whole shot right at the beginning of the race. Dan Hunt in second with Ollie Ricks is there in fourth. Jamie Ayres in third. Behind that is PVG. As this guy's going to come rushing down towards us into turn one. Newman goes on the big old defence at this moment in time. Dan Hunt tucked in there. Ayres has got in like an absolute rocket around Dan Hunt. Is he going to be able to hold it for the outside line coming up into the left-hander? He is currently, and Pete Newman takes the whole shot, but Jamie Ayres moving up 1 place already here, Tom. Dan Hunt in third.
Yeah, he made the most of the outside line into San Donato, which is ideally where you want to be, because that gives you the high ground into the left-hander of Luco, and he's made it work so far for Jamie Ayres. 7 or 8 times a race winner this season in the UkSimracers in the summer campaign. Now he's looking to go after his 9th.
Yeah, Jamie is trying to go and battle away with Pete and Newman there on the track currently as well. Into Arabiata 1 they go through, and then through the next fast right-hander of Arabiata 2. That will lead up into Scaperia before they go into Pelagio here at the left-hander very, very shortly. A lot of sort of movers and shakers. Carl Hardy up 2, Charles Kellerman up 3, Darren McLean up 2, PVG up 2 as well, as PVG, just as I say, he's doing really well, ends up going around, unfortunately, on the exit here as well for PVG. So apologies to PVG there, but around he has gone, and Darren McLean has got Colin Sanson tucked in right behind him at the moment here, Tom. Darren, of course, battling away in the AMs.
Yeah, he's right on the gearbox of McLean as they go through the chicane of Biondetti, and then it's into the fast left-hander of Bacchini prior to the pit straight, which they will be about to go through. You can see he's trying to brake a little bit later there and take a different line. I think that's going to come down to who takes the better lines into the corners there, and Sanson just pretty much been allowed through there by McLean there. It was a little bit surprising. But and now Ayres is in front of Newman as they head over the line to begin lap 2. Ayres taking the lead from Pete Newman.
Yeah, big old draft playing an effect there. They're side by side. Newman can come and have the inside line into San Donato. We've seen how strong Ayres is around the outside, but it was Ayres. It is now Newman. Dan Hunt's in there. Newman, he isn't going to be able to get over and cover off Jamie Ayres. He's going to try and look for the inside here into turn 3. Now we've got that run down, but it is a left-hander into Materassi. It will favour Jamie Ayres, and it has done so far. Ayres has gone and got himself onto the front row. So Pete Newman now going to have to go again as they're coming into Casanova Savelli before they go into Arabiata.
So Ayres maintaining his position, but will he maintain it the next time they go onto the pit straight, where the draft is very much going to be imperative around this racetrack, like we've seen in a lot of the other circuits in UkSimracers. And now we're right on board with Pete Newman going through Arabiata 1 and then 2. he'll be content to be where he is right now. Dan Hunt will be looking to make a move of his own. Pete Newman, who has not been in the best of form of late, pretty much been involved in other people's incidents wherever you look. But so far, he's got it right in terms of keeping his... staying in the race, essentially, and staying in the fight for a racer, which is something he's not had in recent races. You can see he's got a little bit too deep, but he'll get good exit speeds because he won't need to take the curb as much as what Newman has just done there. Ralph Cullinan not too far behind the top three at the moment, and around about a second off them. And Ollie Ricks is the leader of the AM drivers as well, a good couple of seconds ahead of Colin Stenson. Ollie Ricks still in contention.
2 seconds. Yeah, Jamie Ayres just got that all a little bit wrong round the final corner of Buccini. Now it's going to be side by side. There is Ayres. We're on the roll bar of Pete Newman. Nobody's going to give up. Nobody's going to lift here. Nobody's going to get anything form of parlay, should we say, as these guys go running down. But here comes Dan Hunt straight through the middle. Dan Hunt taking up the free wide situation and has gone straight through the middle here, Tom. Can he hold it? He can. Is Jamie Ayres going to be able to hold the inside line in front of Newman? He gets a little bit of wobble. That's going to allow Newman to have the inside into Luco here. And now Dan Hunt making that drive so strong that he actually took two positions there as well. He went from third to first.
Yeah, I think whilst Newman was concentrating on Ayres, it allowed Hunt to take advantage of the draft of both of them to make his way through into the lead before Sandonato. He's up into the race lead now. Is Dan Hunt chasing for win number 14 this summer in UkSimracers in 2024. And you can just see Newman trying to find a different way back ahead of Hunt, but it won't be easy to do it through this next section of the course of Arrabbiata. Ollie Ricks, current AM leader and championship leader as well in that respective class. He'll be fancying, if any of these trip up ahead, he may be able to win his second win overall.
Yeah, he may be able to. We're going to see. I don't know if he's quite on the pace, though, is Ollie this evening. He's sitting in, where is he at the moment? He's in fifth at the moment, ahead of Colin Sampson by 2.7 seconds. But you do wonder on circuits like this how much the draft is playing an effect of that, right? Let's be honest about it. The draft is so strong. We've just seen Dan Hunt go from third and all the way down to first, and I expect the same from Jamie Ayres this time around. But if he does start dropping back, and we might end up seeing the pace disparity between the guys in pro and Ollie Ricks in an AM. But watch this, as probably Dan Hunt is going to take it and go for it once more. There he goes. He's pulled out so early, he wasn't even alongside by the time they got out by the pit entry. And now Jamie Ayres is going to have a go. Is Ralph Cullinan going to come zooming into the picture? The Irishman he is. And now they're going to be going free wide down into turn one. Who's going to give up? Pete Newman's going to send it in very, very deep here. He's got this free wide scenario going on. Jamie Ayres gets the outside. Dan Hunt gets the middle. Pete Newman gets the inside. Ralph Cullinan's coming to play as well. Round the left-hander, round the outside again. He should have the inside. If he sent it up the inside into turn three there for Hunt with Ayres and Ralph Cullinan. But it just goes to show that draft is so strong. The fact that obviously Newman managed to retake the lead.
Yeah, and Ralph Cullinan nearly getting through on Ayres because Ayres went way too deep into Sandonato and it nearly allowed Cullinan through at the same time. Ayres in third place then, but we've got a new race leader of Pete Newman who has already stretched a gap of around about a second on those behind him, and that will be what he wants, but he needs to get a little bit more than a second to pull away.
Yeah, I want to check in with this group here at the moment. Oh, wow. That's Darrell Wright. And I believe Charles Kellerman, not quite sure what happened there, but we just picked up on the end of that one. This is what happened there. Charles Kellerman there in the green and black. He gets loose coming out the corner. Again, tries to go for the inside, hits Darrell Wright. Right over corrects and ends up spinning out to the inside, and then bam. straight into Charles Kellerman. So, yeah, Kellerman and also Darrell Wright are looking that they may have finished their races off. Hardy here with Siddons in front. Siddons just got that all a little bit wrong. That should open the inside door for Hardy, and he has green wheels. Is he going to be brave enough to try and go underneath him? He's not. What about under the other side? He's not. And Carl Hardy is going to have to stay behind Fiona Siddons probably until they come out of this final corner. But Pete Newman's absolutely ran away with it here and opened up nearly a second gap.
Yeah, and Ayres has dropped back so much from Hunt, and he's allowed Cullinan to get alongside. Ollie Ricks fancies it as well. He's probably going to nudge Cullinan through ahead of Ayres. You can just see he's literally tapping him. I'm not sure if that's permitted within the rules, but he's allowed to get in the fight here and make up some positions if he can in terms of the points. But you can just see he's just held back a little bit, as does Cullinan. He doesn't fancy going through on Ayres. It's a shame, actually, because I would like to see Cullinan get stuck in, really.
Yeah, he just didn't seem like he had that nature to go and push it there. Ollie Ricks was obviously pushing him along for Cullinan, and Cullinan just didn't quite seem to have the gusto, should we say, to be able to get past Ayres, but he's going to have to try and go again. There's Dan Hunt in front of us, and then we've got Ayres, Cullinan, Ricks, and then with Sanson sitting in second in the AMS, and Darren McLean has got Hefford climbing all over him at the moment. Hardy is a little bit further back. He's got Fiona Siddons behind him here currently, and then you've got Andy Littler, PVG, Sir Alan Toon. Darrell Wright is still running, I believe. How? Well, that's open for discussion, to be blatantly honest with that. I can't how bad that was, but it is going to be Cullinan and Ayres. Cullinan's surely not going to go around the outside or the inside of Scarperia, who wasn't nowhere near there. Through Pelagio they go, and literally, Tom, I would just wait until you get on that start-finish straight.
Yeah, well, he won't have too many more opportunities to get the move done, so he'll probably want to get his move or get his skates on a little bit, because we're running out of time in this first race. There's 4.5 minutes to go. I would say we've got 2 more laps of the race here. I think that's probably about right, isn't it?
Yeah, by the time they get over the line, it's got to be at least 2:18, 2:19. They're doing 2:09s at the moment, and Pete Newman's not going to get there, so there is going to be one and one more. What about Cullinan trying to go up the inside of Ayres? Ayres kind of does that. It almost looks on purpose. He leaves that door open on the final corner, lets the person almost come alongside, but then he manages to outdraft him like he has now, but now he's in trouble if Cullinan slots in behind him and pulls out once again. Is he Cullinan going to get another nudge from Ricks to put him down in front of Ayres? Ayres is on the left-hand side. There he is. Cullinan's eyeing the green, white and red. He's trying to go around the outside of turn 1. Didn't make it this time with San Donato. Is he going to try to cut back on him? He's going to try and go beside him, but nothing doing there for Ralph Cullinan. He just doesn't seem to have the straight line speed under draft.
No, and he just doesn't have the confidence within himself to just sit back. Ayres is losing time to the front runners by the way he's trying to allow Cullinan through at Bacchini, so that he gets the benefit of the job down the pit straight. But he's losing ground to Neiman and Hunt, so he needs to really stop doing that and just allow Cullinan to just stay in the fight and perhaps get the move done on him on the last lap to take the final podium spot.
Yeah, they're going to be on the final lap next time around, everybody. So buckle up and hold on here. Pete Newman out in front by 1.3 over Hunt, who's got 2.4 over this Ayres, Cullinan and Ricks battle. Then behind that is 3.7 to Sanson with Hefford and McLean. 3.2 with Hardy and Siddons, and then Littler, Bangle, Wright and Toon. Tooney bringing up the rear there. Doesn't seem to be quite having the pace here on that one, but through the right hander they go, and then into Biondetti 1 and 2 before they go around the final corner of Bacchini here. Can Cullinan get in this time? Will he want to get in this time?
Well, I think Ayres will probably want Cullinan to get through this time around so that he gets the benefit next time around. But what does Cullinan decide to do? Because I think he's trying to be a little bit too clever here, and just, is he going to try and get through at the corner? What does Ayres decide to do here? Well, Cullinan does not go through this time. He realises that last time around, the way he tried to do it didn't work. and I think he's got to do it here now.
Yeah.
I don't think he's got a choice. He's got to go for it now and just make his move round the outside, get his nose in front, and then have the high ground for the second corner of Luco.
Yeah, well, let's see if he can manage to hold it. Ollie Ricks giving him a help. Ricks is pushing him along here over Cullinan. He's going to be able to get... Oh, Ayres is later on the brakes. Cullinan does not look confident on the brakes there, and I got a funny feeling, unless he can get alongside going into 2, it's going to be their last possible moment for Cullinan here. I don't think he's got the pace to get him over the rest of the lap, where your leader... He is coming into Materazzi at the moment, the left-hander, and has only got about probably just over half of the racetrack left.
Yeah, well, Cullinan's got with it all to do. He's got one more opportunity this time around. Pete Newman is about to take his first victory in a long time. I will have to research when the last time he had actually won, and we know he's won in the summer campaign, but we'll find out his most recent victory. But providing he does not make any more mistakes, and Ollie Ricks about to take a comfortable victory in the AMS ahead of Colin Stanton and Darren McLean. And well done to Fiona Siddons on making it to 4th position as well in that class.
Yeah. Well done to her. These guys come through the right-hander, and then the left-hander here of Pelagio, and they've not got many corners to go. There's literally 1, 2, 3, 4 corners left. And Cullinan now has lost time to Ayres to the point of where he's actually got Ricks more closer to him than he is to Ayres. So it looks like Newman's going to wrap this up with Hunt in 2nd place and Ayres holding on to 3rd. Ricks wrapping up the AMS with Sampson coming in behind him here as well. But your leader, your first time winner of this season by what I've looked through everything all the way back to about round number 2. Here's Pete Newman. Pete Newman's going to take the victory here in race number 1. He will be on reverse grid for 11th place. Ollie Ricks is going to come over and wrap up another AM win. Great job from him. Colin Sanson grabbing 2nd in the AMs, and McLean rounding out the podium. So not a classic, but the racing wasn't too bad.
No, and I think the emphasis was always going to be on the pit straight, wasn't it? I'm just browsing through it to see the last time Pete Newman had won. I think you could well be right, James. I think it is round 2. Where did we race round 2? I'm trying to remember now. It was Watkins Glen, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Watkins Glen was the last time that Pete Newman had won.
Yeah. That was a long time ago in conjunction, wasn't it, of the season on that one. So just waiting for Sir Anatoon to come over the line, which he does do. And then we'll be able to bring you up the results from race number 1 of the evening. Pete Newman is your winner. And then they've got Dan Hunt in 2nd and Jamie Ayres in 3rd. Then you've got Ralph Cullinan in 4th with Ollie Ricks in 5th. Colin Sanson 6th. Rick Sanson and McLean round out the podium. Then Steve Hansford separates Sanson and McLean in 7th. Hardy 9th. Siddons in 10th. Andy Littler 11th. PVG in 12th. And then you got Darrell Wright, Sir Alatoon, and Charles Kellerman, who of course did not finish after his, well, spectacular incident here again. 5 minutes of warm-up, guys. If you want to go and get yourself a drink, you can sit down and chill out. Top 11 reverse, so that will put Andy Littler on pole position. Oof, that's going to be a fun one for Andy Littler as well. Reverse grid's always spicing it up a bit.
Yeah, absolutely so, and we look forward to see how the top guns get through the field, actually, but they tend to get through rather quickly anyway, as we've seen in the past. So it wouldn't surprise me if we see one of the pro drivers in the lead by the end of lap 1.
Yeah, I'm not saying that's not a possibility. I'm just saying poor old Andy Littler is going to need to fight for his life here, otherwise he could be in deep, deep trouble for Mr. Littler. So let's see how he gets on and whether or not, how long for can he hold that lead. I think it's imperative he tries to hold it as long as possible, but you never quite know in these leagues, Tom, either, do you? Because there is still a lot to play for.
Absolutely. And I'm just trying to browse through how many times Ollie Ricks has won the AM class in the races as well. I mean, this is me going through the stats now for how many times each driver has won what. But that's part of being a commentator, you see. But no, either way, Ollie Ricks in particular is a man on a mission. I don't even think he knows how many races he's won, but he'll just take every race as it comes and just do his best, and he's certainly doing his best this evening.
Yeah, of course he is. He's taken his first win already, which I think at the end, it doesn't bode well for everybody else if Ricks is showing that pace, because I think at the end of the day he's going to be could be quite mighty here to stop, but it will be down to Andy Littler to try and have a go, and Fiona Siddons, of course, who's obviously going to be in there with that reverse grid. So great job from all of these guys, and I do love a good reverse, Tom. It mixes it right up.
Absolutely so, and Andy Littler will do his utmost. I mean, he wants just. I don't think he's won in class this season yet, and now this is an opportunity for him to change just that.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of firsts. You know, Pete Newman taking the win for the first time this season. Andy Littler might be wanting to take a win as well, which would be great for him if he can. Of course, it's not always going to be easy when you've got so many fast drivers in and around you. And I think, to be fair, it should technically make you faster, because obviously you're following other people's lines and following what they're doing. But you just never quite know with people how some people are going to get on. So it'll be interesting to see what Littler does here.
So the driver's just getting some more mileage in there. Some have had little. I mean, particularly the arrival for this evening, Carl Hardy, didn't do any practice before we got qualifying underway, and he only got like one timed lap in there, although he was going to set that lap, but then just ducked back into the pit lane. We had a fair good race, did Carl Hardy. I'm just trying to remember where he actually finished in that first race, because I was concentrating on finding stats for you. But he will be amongst those towards the front, and so he'll start third on the grid behind Fiona Siddons and Andy Littler. And yeah, he's actually got a chance to go for a pro victory if he fancies it.
Yeah, not sure how much he'll get involved. Obviously, first race, round 10, there's 11 and 12 to go. Not entirely sure how much he will actually want to get involved, to be fair. He may want to come out and go for the win and prove a point that, hey, look, I can do it. Or he may sit back and kind of dive out the way. Roger Morton, Ollie is on fire. He is on fire. He is on fire, I do agree. With Ricks, he's just been borderline unstoppable. I know everybody else has had a few wins in between, but it has been major Ricks for a lot of this season. So, yeah, Ollie's absolutely flying in that situation. But look, you know, everybody's got a chance. You never know till it's over here, Tom, and I think it's something that, you know, we'll be looking forward to as we go into the rest of the last couple of rounds. But let's check out the grid for race number 2 of the evening. Don't forget that obviously it's a reverse top 10, so top 11, sorry. So that will promote the Darren McLean, and will be on pole position this time around. But let's wait for the grid for the official grid. There you go. Andy Littler will be on pole position with Fiona Siddons in second, Carl Hardy in third, and Darren McLean, he ends up fourth in the end. Steve Hefford fifth, Colin Sampson, Ollie Ricks and Ralph Cullinan, Jamie Ayres, Dan Hunt, Pete Newman and PVG. And then beyond that one is Darrell Wright, Sir Alan Toon and Charles Kellerman. Where are you this evening, Mr. Roger Morton? Just waiting for PVG to get on to the line and ready to go. But yeah, I'll find out what happened or where Mr. Morton is in the process, as I've asked in YouTube chat. But ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, race number 2, 5 lights, and guess what? We are green. Andy Littler got the jump off the line. Siddons alongside him here. What is she going to be able to do? Is she going to be able to go around the outside? Then you've got Hardy in the background. McLean in there. Sanson in there. Hefford. Ricks. Ayres. Cullinan up, down 1. Ayres up 1. But they've still got this tricky turn 1 to deal with here. How's this all going to work out? Littler's on the inside. Siddons gone in deep. Hardy's going to try and sweep around the outside. McLean's in there. They're 3-4 wide with Ricks, Sanson and Ayres at one point, and they're still 3 wide. McLean, Hefford and Littler, who's down 2, but led at the moment here by Fiona Siddons on the run down into Matarazzi.
And it's short-lived, unfortunately, for Andy Little as he's gone for a spin on the exit of turn at number 3. And it's all come crashing back down to everything there. Darren McLean's off.
Yeah. Slight little contact with Steve Hefford. That's the Darren McLean off into a different world here. But Ayres and Hefford has gone up the inside. I take it by that message, Mr. Morton, you mean you're being tight and didn't want to buy the race circuit. Being that don't own the circuit and I'm a typical Yorkshireman. So I'll probably say tight as a duck's bottom on that one. Ayres, Hefford, Sanson, Cullinan and Hunt with Newman. But at the moment, Hardy has run away with Siddons. But for how long, Tom? That's going to be the question.
Jamie Ayres already up to P3 from where he was on the grid. He was towards, I think it was 9th on the grid to get himself up to where he is. And he's already in play for another victory here. And it just depends on how long it takes the likes of Dan Hunt and Pete Newman to make their way through as well. But don't rule out Carl Hardy just yet.
No, Hardy's in there with Siddons and Ayres and Sanson, Hefford, Hunt, Cullen and Newman. Newman up 3 places. Your winner from race 1 picks him off. He's so good in traffic. I've seen him at times slice through the field and just make a place. He doesn't rush anything. He is kind of almost an Iceman himself, and I wouldn't be surprised if he's managed to get into the top 5 here. They're going 3 wide with Hefford, Hunt and Cullen, and now it's 2v2 here on that run down into turn 1, and there is Cullinan, there is Hunt, there is Newman. Newman's going to go and send it 3 wide. What about Hefford? Is he going to come and join the party as well? Is he going to be that 4th wheel out of disco? Let's see what happens here for Dan Hunt. Is he going to be able to hold on? Newman's going to try and go around the outside here. Cullinan and Hefford's in there. Then we've got PVG and Kellerman tucked in right behind that as well. Hefford gets close to Newman. Newman makes it into currently 6th place. Oh, Siddons has got a problem.
Oh, dear.
Oh, Siddons is off the side of the circuit.
Yeah, she's probably had a tap or she's just gone way too deep. We'll have a look to see. Did she get a stab? No, already spinning around. Carried too much speed at the apex, and that's what caused her to spin around the way she has done. And that's allowed Carl Hardy into the lead for the first time. I think that's going to be a very, very brief time at the front because look who's making his way through.
Yeah, Ayres is going to sweep round into Arabiata 1 in the lead. Hardy 2nd, Sanson 3rd now. And then Hunt, Newman, Cullen and Hefford and PVG in behind that one. So unfortunately there for Hardy, that lead did not last very long. Let's have a look back. I just want to catch up with Andy Littler and find out how he ended up going the way he did. Was he tapped? Nope, another one that hit the curb and was already out of sorts. I do want to look at this Darren McLean situation because I've got a funny feeling there was contact here. Oh, it definitely looked like there was contact there for Steve Hefford, but I think we'll need to have another look here as he comes in. There is McLean. Are we going to end up inside the car? Yep, well and truly.
Yeah, that was completely Hefford's fault for not reading into the situation, and it just sent McLean on a one-way trip into the barrier. And I imagine there'll be a few words between the pair afterwards. There is Cullinan, who is looking to make his way through on Pete Newman, who's starting to come alive in this race now. And they're both fighting for P4, but they're right behind Dan Hunt, of which they could get the benefit of the drop.
We're going to run down into turn 1. It is Ayres. It is Sanson. Sanson doing a great job sitting in that 2nd place now. They're coming down into turn 1. We've got Ayres, Sanson, Hunt, Newman, Cullinan, then PVG. Hefford's just gone up the inside of Kellerman. Kellerman's got Ricks tucked up right behind him. Through the left-hander they go of Luco now. Then Poggia Seiko, the right-hander at the top, just about there. Newman sitting in 4th. Watch them curbs. We've seen them curbs. Let's settle people already. Hardy. They've got to be a little bit careful. Kyan and Elliot say hi. Good evening, Kyan and Elliot. Why aren't you in bed, young boys? Behave yourself. It's 8:45 at night. You should be going to bed at your age. Here, as we carry on with this race at 9:40 on the clock. It looks like Jamie has had a slowdown because he has slowed all the way down and he's just lost that position. In fact, he's lost 3 positions. Is it going to be a 4th one with Cullinan trying to go up the inside into Arabiata 1?
Yeah, well, I don't know how he's managed to slow down there unless he hit the ignition switch or something by accident. But Jamie Ayres' error has cost him effectively the position to Dan Hunt, and now he's going to have to absolutely fight it between now and the end of the race. We're on lap 3. We expect it to be a 7-lap race again. We don't know about the weather forecast for the remaining races this evening, but we'll find out sooner rather than later what will happen in relation to that. But Dan Hunt is now within striking range to make his move on Colin Sensor the next time when they go onto the pit straight.
We're going to be going round the right-hander now as well, down into Biondetti 1, the left-hander, then Biondetti 2, the right-hander, coming into the final corner of Buccini, and it is Sanson, Hunt, Newman, Ayres, Cullinan, then PBG, then Ricks. Hefford's 1.7 back. We got Kellerman in with Siddons, Hardy all the way down in 9th place now. I don't know if that is intentional for Hardy to move himself out of the championship situation. Well, I have to play that one by ear and rely that it might be, but here we go. We've got 3 wide. We've got 2 wide further back. Cullinan slots in again. Sanson going in a completely different way. Straightens up that straight here. Is he going to be able to hold it? He's not. I think it's going to be a Hunt Newman. How brave is Newman going to be around the outside? Oh, Sanson had to hit the brakes. Otherwise, he was going to use Pete Newman as a brake there into the left-hander of Luco. Now the right-hander of Poggio Seiko. It's going to be all of these 6 cars on your screen all at the same time here, Tom. Who's going to come out on top?
Yeah, I found it strange the way Sanson positioned the car there, because it was almost like it was going beyond track limits on the approach to San Donato. But Hunt, as expected, takes the lead of the race now. Jamie Ayres is still in this, so he's got with it all to do to get through on Colin Sanson rather quickly. He may even want to try and do it before they get onto the pit straight so that he gets the benefit of the drive. And look at Newman on the inside of Hunt. They toss going into the section before Arabiata, and Hunt keeps his nose in there, but don't expect this to be the last of between these two. And Colin Sanson on the inside into Arabiata team, and he's back through on Newman.
Yeah, Sanson almost made it through, didn't quite get it this time. Newman is going to cover him off, going around the right-hander, now around the left-hander again. Yeah, off Pelagio on that run now. How is this going to work out through the right-hander? Pete Newman there and Dan Hunt. Oh, there's been an accident at the back. Colin Sanson's in the grass.
Yeah, he's come together with someone, or he's spun it by himself. But what a shame there for Colin Sanson, because he was the class leader before heading off into the hairpin. And ooh, that's a very interesting one.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to have to go up here and see what the situation was on board here. Sanson's got the inside. He's made the apex. I would say that looked like PVG turned in on him.
Yeah, PVG just... Yeah, he didn't leave enough space, did PVG, but we're going to go back to the lead here because Hunt is under threat from Newman and Ayres now.
Yeah, this guy's going to take it down into turn 1. Newman on the right-hand side, Hunt on the left, Ayres tucked in. Then we've got Cullinan, then we've got Ricks has made his way up as well. Now we're going to go around the right-hander here of San Donato, through the left-hander of Luco, up into Poggio Seiko will be the right-hander next, coming along, ready for these guys to hurtle through. There they go, Newman, Hunt, Ayres is gone through. Ricks is in there, PVG, Steve Hefford, Darrell Wright trying to catch up here. Is it going to make it a top 8 battle? Can Hefford and Wright get there?
Well, it's the fight for both Pro and AM is very much on. Ollie Ricks is a 13-time class winner in the summer campaign of 2024 in UkSimracers, is looking for number 14 here. His nearest rival is Darrell Wright, who is in 8th position overall. I think Sanson and Kellerman have had an incident together, and Kellerman, for the 2nd race in a row, is not going to make it to the checkered flag.
Do you know, I can't really blame Kellerman there. And the reason I can't blame Kellerman for that one is the fact that Colin Tatz's wheels, all 4 of them, were off the white line.
Yeah, and he was not entitled to any more space than he did there. Yeah,
he's not entitled to it. Once you're off the track, you're off the track. It's your job to come back on.
Yeah, and that was poor driving standards from Colin Sanson, unfortunately, just too desperate to recover from his earlier off. And I think he may make an appearance in the steward's room afterwards, because that was avoidable.
Yeah, it definitely was there. He could have just lifted and slotted in behind Kellerman. Kellerman technically didn't have to really give him room whatsoever. There's going to be one more here, and Newman is going to lead the way. But watch the closing speed of the 6 cars in behind him. Hunt, Ayres, Cullen and Ricks, PVG, as they're going to go closing in on Pete Newman. Can he hold it for one more lap after this one, Tom? It looks like he's done a great job. Can he get 2 out of 2 here for Newman?
He could do, and he's got a great chance to do that, but it depends on how he decides to play it. You can see they're almost power sliding into San Donato, which is a rather spectacular thing for the spectators, but how is that going to affect the tyres? You're just seeing Fiona Simmons make a move on Carl Hardy for overall position, not for class position, but she's on for a podium, and I don't think we've seen her on class podium this season so far.
I'm sure there was. I'm sure there was. I will do a quick bit of research. I'm sure there was a race where Fiona was on the podium.
Well, whilst you look at that, we'll keep an eye on. Yeah, well, whilst you look at that, we'll focus on the battle for the overall lead, because Newman's building up a cushion of half a second on Dan Hunt and Jamie Ayres. Jamie Ayres, who's an 8-time winner this season, is going after Dan Hunt, who's won a total of 13, so 21 wins between them in the summer campaign of UkSimracers. And now they're about to lock horns. Next time around, they go onto the pit straight. Ralph Cullinan is still thereabout, but from time and time again this season, he's not exactly become as aggressive as we've seen from Ayres, Hunt, and perhaps Newman. So it may just be damage limitation for Cullinan and just pick up the pieces should others fail. And now we look on board in the cockpit of Ralph Cullinan, just focusing his eyes on the road and the cars that lie ahead of him. They're coming round to the last corner of Bacchini for the penultimate time in this race. Who is going to make the most out of this occasion as they all begin the last lap once they cross over the line?
Yeah, Jamie Ayres is going to be looking at making a move. Newman's gone all the way to the left. Now he's drifting slightly to the right. He's trying to break the toe. Ayres is there ready to go if need be. Is he going to dive the inside? I'm surprised he didn't. He has. Ayres is going to try and go up the inside. Newman's more of a sitting duck than a moving target here. Ayres needs the room. He needs the room. He does get the room off Hunt. And it's as they were, Tom. No real change going on to that final lap.
No, and Colin Sanson's now ahead of Fiona Siddons into the last class podium position. So Fiona Siddons may have to wait for another race unless something happens on this last lap. So we're looking at Newman, Hunt and Ayres. Newman going for 2 wins out of 2 this evening. That will double the win tally from what he had before this evening in the summer campaign. And Andy Littler has finally called it, well, a few minutes as he's dropped out. Unfortunately, I don't know if he's had any connection issues or whether he's had a run-in into the barrier. Meanwhile, they're going through Arrabbiata 1 and 2 for the last time in this race. And it looks like Newman has got all the margin he needs to maintain the win here. But we're looking at Cullinan, who is trying to put Jamie Ayres under enough pressure, and it looks like we've seen a replay of Andy Littler's shenanigans, although we didn't quite see.
He just disconnects. There's nothing for me to show you. He literally just disconnects as Andy Littler. Newman's there, Hunt's there, Ayres is there, Kellerman is in YouTube chat. I'm done. You've still got 2 races, man. Man up. as he's going there as well for Charles Kellerman, but it is going to be Newman, it is going to be Hunt, Ayres, Cullinan and Ricks going into the final left-hander now of this evening. Into Buccini they go. Pete Newman's going to double his tally of wins, and he's going to do it in the first 2 races of this evening. Is he going to hold on right away down to the line here? Pete Newman, he is going to wrap this one up. It is going to be Newman taking the double victory. Hunt in there, Ayres there as well, and Pete Newman comes over the line. Ollie Ricks wrapping up another win with Pete Van Gool. What's going to happen with Darrell Wright and Steve Hefford? Wright manages to hold on, and then behind that we've got Carl Hardy and Sir Alan Toon, who are going to be coming over the line fairly practically together. Is Hardy going to make a move, or is he just going to push Mr. Sir Alan Toon over the line? I think he's just going to push him here. There we go. Pushes him over the line, Toon and Hardy. So let's bring you up the results from race number 2. Oh, and then pushes him completely off the side of the circuit. So bit of team love, and we'll go and then move over to the next one. But it is Pete Newman in first, Dan Hunt is second, Jamie Ayres in third. That's your 1, 2, 3 in your pros. Ralph Cullinan in fourth, then Ollie Ricks, Pete Van Gool, Darrell Wright, Steve Hefford and Colin Sanson. So that's a Ricks, Wright, Sanson and podium. Siddons grabs 10th, Andy Littler 11th, Sir Alan Toon 12th, then Carl Hardy. Charles Kellerman did not finish, and neither did Darren McLean. Right, guys, we're going to jump on to a short break, and we'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. We'll see you for race 3 and 4. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we are back for race number 3 this evening. I'm still James Parfitt. I'm going to be still joined in the booth by Tom Keds. We have got a reverse top 10 for race number 4. Complete random reverse for race number 3, but we do have a top 10 reverse for race number 4. Tom, race 1 and 2, were they the best we've seen, do you think, or were they not quite the classics we anticipated?
Don't think they were quite the classics we anticipated. It doesn't look like the weather is going to change either. I was hoping maybe we'd get a wet race or something that might spice things up a little bit. But either way, we've still seen some quality racing with the drag races at the front, lap by lap. And I think the drivers will have gained some knowledge from it. So maybe go for it a little bit, because I think there's been a little bit too... We've seen some drivers being a little bit too conservative. And I think they need to get their elbows out a little bit more.
Yeah, I think completely agree with that analysis, to be blatantly honest with you. I thought we might have seen a little bit more. But it seems like the start-finish straight is becoming the main overtaking position. It doesn't seem like many other corners are providing action, which is unusual for these guys. It's almost like once they go down through San Donato, it's really kind of job done. They kind of follow the leader up through Luco, Poggio, Matarazzi, into Casanova Savelli, kind of all the way around the circuit until they get into the main straight. And I'm quite surprised that we've got that kind of style of racing. It's almost Monaco-esque on a wide open Grand Prix circuit.
I mean, it's a wide racetrack in general. I mean, you don't find too many of those because of the natures of the circuit itself. I mean, some racetracks we've been racing at have been narrower than this, so we are privileged to be racing around a circuit where you're able to get 4 cars wide, 4 Mazda MX5s wide into a corner like San Donato. And I expect to see more of it in the next couple of races. So it's a randomised grid, which means, as you well know, anyone can be on pole. Doesn't matter what class you are in. So we'll wait to see who has got the best of luck out of that and where they'll start on the grid. But don't take too much away from who is lining up where, because anyone can win no matter where they start.
Yeah, I do completely agree with you as well on that one. Anyone is able to win, and I think it's kind of the racing that we expect. I'm just quite surprised that it is very draft heavy down into turn 1. It seems to be the place where everything is done and everything overtaken as well. Right. That's because I'm not there. What's that in relation to? Don't, Mr. Morton, is that because of the rain that Phil has said, or is that because... I don't know what that is in conjunction to. So if you can let me know what that is, that would be absolutely amazing on that one. So thank you very much. Right. We've got about 11 minutes left to practice. Don't panic, they're not going to have all of the 11. It's a complete random reverse for race 3, Tom. So, and a top 10 reverse for race number 4. Top 10 reverse, again, quite a high reverses this week. Some of them have been like 6 and 7.
Yeah, well, we usually have like top 11 or top 12 sometimes even. And with the number of drivers we've got here tonight, we've got 15 drivers in total. So there's every chance that someone could end up on the reverse grid pole. If you end up having a few retirements, you could just, if you just keep going, then you've got a chance to improve where you've ended up in race going into race 4.
Yep. Well, let's see. The racing not as exciting because I'm not... Oh, okay. Talk about blowing your own trumpet, Mr. Morton. Jesus. Apparently the race is not quite as exciting because he's not here. But here's the grid for race number 3. Siddons on pole, then Sir Alan Toon, then Pete Newman, Darren McLean, Colin Sanson, Darrell Wright, Jamie Ayres, then Charles Kellerman, Andy Littler, Ralph Cullinan, Steve Hefford, and Ollie Ricks. On from there, Dan Hunt, PVG, and Carl Hardy at the back end of this race. So let's see how these guys get on once more for race number 3, how they're going to come out on top and who is going to come out on top. The lights are going to be on, but ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, 2 lights, 3 lights, 4 lights, 5 lights. Race 3 is alive, and it is green, green, green here as well, as the Fiona Siddons got off the line really well alongside Sir Alan Toon and Pete Newman. Come on, Tooney, you got an opportunity of a win here, son, if you just stay within the draft range of everybody else around you. You can let them pull you through forward, but Siddons takes the whole shot. Newman's coming alongside into turn 1, mind you. Is he on the plan for 3 out of 3 here, Tom? Because Newman's straight at the front already.
Yep, wasting absolutely no time whatsoever. Jamie Ayres will be his closest rival for now. And we'll look to see how Dan Hunt is getting on. He's towards the back right now, but he'll come through the field sooner rather than later. So Newman leads ahead of Colin Sanson, who has had a mixed evening so far. He decides to let Ayres go through now into turn number 4 of Materazzi, and that should see Ayres close in on Newman at this early stage. But Newman has already built out a lead of 1.3 seconds.
Yeah, Siddons and Sanson side by side. Sanson recovering from his earlier incident alongside Mr. Kellerman, who, mind you, said I'm done in YouTube chat, but is now out on the race circuit for race number 3. Hefford's in behind that with Cullinan here. Then Ollie Ricks, PBG and Hardy at the back end of the field. But I do clearly think that is Hardy not trying to get involved in any of the championship fights. PBG, however, has just made a mistake and has gone off round Arabiata 2. Is he going to rejoin? He's not. He jumps straight back into the pits. Darren McLean now with Dan Hunt on his inside. There was contact with Hefford, and unfortunately, I believe, was that Alan Toon that has just gone round there. But let's have a look and see if it was Steve Hefford on Alan Toon. It was. Tooney's in that 65 machine, gets on the brake, starts sliding, blocking his brakes, and then unfortunately he was just helped round from Mr. Hefford, but that was already a sliding Alan Toon. Charles Kellerman here's locked onto the back of Siddons with Colin Sanson. Not a lot Hefford could do about that when Tooney was already sliding.
Yeah, it was not Hefford's fault by any means. So it was just unfortunate there for Sir Alan Toon getting out of shape. And now we're approaching the end of lap number 1 in race number 3, with Newman in the lead ahead of Ayres by 1.6 seconds. That's a good lead at this stage.
Yeah, Siddons going to be tucked in behind Mr. Kellerman. Under the Mugello bridge they go through the right, left, well, slight little left kink. Siddons is going to dive for the inside now. Is she going to be able to make it through? She's not. Settles back in behind Kellerman once again. Kellerman hard on the brakes, gets the car stopped here. Siddons is going to have to try and go one more time. And Dan Hunt has got Steve Hefford tucked in behind him with Darrell Wright and Ralph Cullinan behind that. Mr. Wright, who's had a rotten first couple of races, is out in race 3, hoping to make amends here. But Cullinan is not going to let him rest off easy. We've seen these two have a little bit of a ta-ta-ta before, Tom. Let's hope these guys don't let that happen again.
Yeah, well, Darrell Wright has been in the wars a few times, and we've seen it a lot from him this season, in all honesty. Now he needs a clean one, because we've not seen the best of Darrell Wright. And I think too many times this season, he hasn't exactly had the courage to sort of, outbrake someone and be more aggressive into the corners. It looks like Hunt and Siddons have come together.
Dan Hunt and Fiona Siddons off the side of the circuit. Hunt straight back into the pit lane. And let's take a quick look and see how this one worked out. Was this Siddons already going? And then Hunt has come in. Whoa, I'm not...
That's a terrible driving sentence. I'm deeply sorry.
Yeah, that's a proper zero IQ moment now. I'm not entirely sure why Siddons would all of a sudden stop. Or... I'm trying to give it a benefit of the doubt, but I'm not entirely sure how I can do that in that kind of scenario. I'm not sure if anybody in YouTube chat can help me out there of why Siddons was all of a sudden pulling over and slowing down, and Hunt unfortunately just, well, I don't know if he wasn't expecting it or whatever the situation was.
Yeah, I mean that was weird. Unless she had hit the ignition switch by accident or her pedals had gone all funny or something at her end. But yeah, that's really unfortunate for Dan Hunt there. Done nothing wrong at all and is being taken out of the race. What a shame.
Yeah, Hefford's alongside right now as well. Ricks is alongside McLean. 2B2, Cullinan in the middle. It's going to almost be free wide down into turn 1. McLean's going to try and go around the outside, not quite carrying the speed that he probably wanted to. Wright manages to hold on. Cullinan's now tucked in as well. He's going to be looking at the left hander. McLean wants that left hand side away from Cullinan. Cullinan's going to have the inside for Poggio Seiko. Hefford blinked a little bit. Might have put Cullinan off just a tad here. The Irishman getting very close to Darren McLean. Now Ollie Ricks almost sat there looking like he was going to have a go. He didn't quite make it through this time either. It looks like Jamie Ayres has had a slowdown again.
Yeah, he's done exactly the same thing as he did last time by allowing a few cars through. So he's let Sanson through there. What is going on with Jamie Ayres this evening?
I don't know, them slowdowns are catching him out here as well. Gary Walsh, good evening, sir. Hope you're well, dude. How are you? I haven't spoken to you in a long while. Hope everything's all right at home and everything's sorted out and all your life's fine and dandy. But much love for jumping in there, mate. Thank you so much. And now you get to see race 3 with Cullinan and McLean side by side. Cullinan takes the inside around the right hand or a scup area into Pelagio. They go coming into the right hander now. And Cullinan looking at the inside of McLean. Hefford still managing to get running currently. Ayres is now back on the attack with Sanson. Cullinan's being squeezed there. The Irishman himself is being squeezed a little bit through the kink of the left-hander of Biondetti 1. Now through Biondetti 2, coming out of there, down into Buccini now. It's Hefford, Cullinan, McLean and Ricks. And these guys not separating away from each other.
No, and we know Cullinan can get past the AM drivers, no problem, but it's when he gets onto the rear of pro drivers, that's where he tends to struggle. But he's got a draft now, potentially off Hefford, but needs to watch for McLean because he's going side by side with the man in that red and white liveried Mazda MX5. Hefford moves over, and it looks like Cullinan is pretty much boxed in at this point because he's now got Ricks for company.
Yeah, well, McLean's going to try and make it free wide going down into turn number 1. Well, he's going to got the inside of Hefford there. He's covered a massive amount of draft. Great job from McLean. He gets the draft from Hefford first and pulls away from Cullinan, and then the draft allows him to go past Steve Hefford. Colin Sanson and Jamie Ayres, again, same scenario as last time. Jamie Ayres didn't need that much room, but Colin Sanson gave it to him. Maybe that's the unwritten rule for what happened with Sanson and Kellerman, is obviously Kellerman didn't give him quite as much room, and it looks like Cullinan has had a moment. Ralph Cullinan with Steve Hefford off the side of the circuits. I've got a funny feeling it's going to be the same scenario.
Yeah, so Hefford... Yeah,
3 of them in there.
So, yeah, Hefford rejoined unsafely into the path of Cullinan there, so Cullinan not to blame for that at all. So I think if there's anyone to blame there, it has to be Steve Hefford, and Cullinan is struggling around the circuit now.
Yeah, absolutely. Just as Craig Jones says, there were certainly less crashes. There was plenty more crashes have come about, so we can blame the Mr. Jones, the man who sitting at home just being critical of everybody's driving, but not actually driving himself. All good, pal, been busy. That's all. Oh, that's all. Well, you know, as long as you're all good, mate, and everything's fine and dandy, I'm glad to see you in YouTube chat there as well. So Sanson and Ayres now battling away round the right hand of Biondetti 2 coming into Buccini. I think with Charles Kellerman sitting in 4th, second in class at the moment here, Tom. Sanson's not quite home and dry just yet.
No, and Kellerman will be closing up on him, and Kellerman will be raging through himself to get a victory to recover what's been a really daunting couple of races so far, and he needs some remedy to make up for it. And Sir Alan Toon has also retired, James, for information. It looks like Ollie Ricks is going to pull into the side of the track or coming into the pits at the end of this one.
Yeah, I expect him and Ralph Cullinan, to be blatantly honest, trying to get into the pit lane. There's Ricks's battered car. There's Cullinan's half-broken Irish machine as well. Hardy now with Littler, side by side going down into turn 1. And Hardy does make it through, does he, with Littler running side by side. Not quite done yet. Hardy does manage to get, in the end, the swap of the positions. Ayres and Sanson. Sanson using that draft to keep him away from Kellerman here, which is fair enough. Colin Sanson used what he's got available.
Well, I'm just looking through the classification. Ricks and Cullinan into the pits. They'll be thinking about the reverse grid now because it's top 10, isn't it? So if either of them can get back out again, they could be in play to get on reverse grip. You can see Rix is back on the circuit now, or so we thought, but he's in the pits at the moment. But both of their cars were terminally wrecked by the looks of it, because the front suspension on both of them were done at that point. Ralph Cullen has managed to get back on the circuit, is he? No, he's still in the pits. But Fiona Simmons should well keep going, actually, because she's got another chance, potentially, to be on the front row of the grid, which will be the third race in a row if that was to be the case.
Yeah, well, let's see how they get on here. It was literally a top 10 reverse. So at the moment, Cullinan, although he's in the pit lane, he is classified in front of Rick, so that should give him the reverse top 10. Don't forget they haven't got any fast repairs here. So yeah, whatever's happened is whatever's happened on that. Sorry, James, if there is no commentator's curse, then there is no spectator's curse, says Phil. Well, this may be true, Phil, but I'm going to blame Craig anyway. You know what I mean? Why not? Let Craig take some of the blame here, you know. So, yeah, fair play. Pile it all on Craig and see what happens. But, yeah, Sanson now with Ayres in behind that. And he's using the drive once more as Colin Sanson. It comes in about 5 to 6 tenths here. That's a big old way for draft to kick in.
Yeah. And does he fancy a go at it on Ayres, or does he just decide to sit back and allow Ayres just, you know, control it? And Pete Newman's lead, 4.5 seconds. 4.5 seconds at this stage now. He can just take it easy.
Yeah, he can chill. You know what I mean? He just wants it. He can just get sitting there and just make sure he brings it home. He's only going to have one more to go. One more, sorry, when I get my words out, to go here. So for Pete Newman, you know, he's in a fine and dandy position.
This is the closest battle we've got on circuit. Ayres, who's in the Pro class, and Sanson is in the Am class. Sanson, who's yet to take a victory this evening. It's not going to be Ollie Rix because he is out of the race. And I'm just trying to browse through when was the last time that Sanson won a class victory. I don't think it was too long ago. I'm looking through the results of last week to see whether he actually took a class win.
Round 7 at Spa, race 3.
Yeah, so not too long ago, therefore, for Colin Sanson. So he's got an opportunity to take a class win and an overall podium.
Yeah, let's see how he gets on. Can he hold on? He's got Kellerman 1.2. He's losing a bit of the draft to Ayres. He's out at about 8 tenths at the moment. Oh, he's just pulled in a massive tenth there. Fair play if you can keep up with that, but you can't, unfortunately, on the exit of the right-hander and then down into BMW 1 and 2 here for Sanson. Tucked in and trying to keep up the drive. Be interesting to see when he gets onto Buccini, how much he can actually make up and how strong is the draft and how... Oh, God, he's just lost. I would say he's lost time, but Ayres just slid it round the last corner.
Yeah, and that's not the ideal line to take, and that's going to compromise his exit speed onto the start-finish straight for Jamie Ayres. And so Colin Sanson will make the most of the draft here. The white flag has been waved, and it will be the last up for the ride. Lap 7 of 7, and they begin that now. And Sanson will not go for it on Ayres. He doesn't need to. He's trying to build up enough of a gap over Kellerman to maintain the class victory.
You know, that draft was out at 8 tenths. 8 tenths that draft kicked in on these MX5s. I have never seen it that far back. Apart from maybe Road America down the long start-finish straight. And even then, I think they had to be closer than that. But 8 tenths, that's a massive amount of draft down through one circuit here, Tom. That's quite far away.
Well, who needs DRS these days with these cars? Pete Newman can't take anything away from him. He got the job done into turn 1, it has to be said, or on the first few corners, and he's been untroubled since. If you remember, he had that 1.5 second margin after the first 3 or 4 corners on lap 1. And he just built the gap and then dominated from there, and it'll be a hat-trick of wins. I don't think would have predicted that at the beginning of the night. I don't think anyone would have done.
No, definitely not, considering how much of an up-and-down season he's had. In conjunction, he's had a roller coaster season, isn't he, Pete Newman? And, you know, that's kind of what we've seen out of him. And that's the thing, isn't it? for him. He hasn't had much at all, and then all of a sudden he goes and gets 3 out of 3. So fair play to Pete Newman, an absolutely stellar job. And Colin Sanson is looking like he's going to pick up the win in the AMS, with Kellerman sitting in second place behind him. So Kellerman and Sanson taking the podium. But ladies and gentlemen, for the man that's just wrapped up the first 3 out of 3 here is Pete Newman. Comes over the line, he takes the victory. The man in the 118 from Pure Sims got the job done. A great job from him. Jamie Ayres and Colin Sanson wraps up the AMs. Charles Kellerman takes second with Darrell Wright. The most important thing about that as well, Tom, is it's pro, then am for the next 4, with Carl Hardy grabbing himself a podium here in 3rd place. Nobody would have kind of expected that.
No, I think that was one of those one-off races where I think some just got a little bit too carried away. Although Dan Hunt will have felt robbed of an opportunity of a win there had it not been for the incident with Fiona Siddons. And I think some questions will be asked about what exactly had been going on with that. But at least she's got another opportunity to start on the front row for race 4.
Yeah, it was a bizarre incident. Really, really bizarre. But let's bring up the results here for race number 3. Pete Newman, 3 out of 3 for him, and Jamie Ayres in 2nd place. Then you got Colin Sanson, Charles Kellerman and Darrell Wright. That's your 1, 2, 3 in the AMs. I spy with my little eye something called rain in race 4. Then Darren McLean in 6th. Carl Hardy takes the final podium spot in the pros, and Andy Littler, Fiona Siddons and Steve Hefford will grab pole position. Not quite sure how Steve managed that one. Ralph Cullen in 11th. Then Ollie Ricks, Alan Toon, Dan Hunt and PVG for race number 4. If Pete makes it 4, then he might still have a teammate next season. Aren't you in, hold on a minute, aren't you in results Pure Sims and he's just in result? That's what the score sheet says to me. That you're in a subsidiary of Pure Sims. You're not quite Pure Sims main roster. You're Pure Sims results. So you're in the second team. Is that right? Or have I got that wrong? I popped to the loo. What did I miss? Last 2 laps. Pete Newman taking the win in pros to make it 3 out of 3. Colin Sanson taking a win in the AMs. Last 2 laps, not a lot happened at all. So you haven't missed much. But yeah, that's basically it. And then it looks like we've got rain for race number 3. Race number 4. He's not good enough for Pure Sims. See, I'm just asking a question. I thought that was what it was, because on the score sheet it's Pure Sims result, and then for Pete Newman's in Pure Sims. So I don't know. Anyway, let's see. We both should be as Pure Sims X results or something like that. Well, no, the score sheet tells me that you're in Pure Sims result, and he's in Pure Sims. If you look at the score sheet and then go to the team standings, Pete's got his own kind of category. Just saying. You know what I mean? But hey, look, you resolved the issue. That sounds like a you issue and a UkSimracers issue. So I'll let you sort that one out. But if there is any changes, let me know, because obviously I need to change my my sheets, so I can get you all on the same page here. Magic, how Pure Sims cars winning. Now Roger's not there. See, I agree, Fiona. I agree. X result in my... Craig Jones, stop winding him up there as well. Race 4, rain. Some of these are struggling in the dry. Tom, how's this going to work in the rain?
Well, they need a couple of laps to get a feel of the circuit, because we've not had any wet races for the last couple of weeks. So they need to get some experience in the rain, otherwise they're going to struggle. So I would expect everyone to be out on circuit to get at least a lap in to explore the conditions, and then hope that we get a proper good race out of it. And can Pete Newman complete the quadruple? We saw Ollie Ricks make it 4 from 4 in the AM class in Watkins Glen round 2. Can Pete Newman do it in pro at Mugello?
Well, I think that's going to be the first one of the season if he does that in pro, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, it will be. Will be the first one. And it's rain. So there you go. Let's see how they get on. And the rain in race number 4. So yeah, it could be interesting to see how this one turns out here. And who gets worse. Called it. Yeah, you did call it, Phil, for race number 3. Well done. For race number 4. Well done, you. I don't know. So, Tom, what are we going to see? Carnage and chaos, or great racing with great overtakes?
Well, bearing in mind it's a reverse grid, so a lot of drivers are going to be out of position to where we would expect them to be, and that is going to make it an even tougher challenge than it would have been in the dry.
I fully agree with you, sir. I do fully agree. I think it's going to be interesting. Let's just put it that way. So there you go. Can you call the result, though? What do you mean? Can you call the result? Not entirely sure what Craig Jones is on about that time.
I think it means, what's your predictions for race 4? I think what are you calling? Who are you calling for race winner wise?
Pete Newman, 4 out of 4, and Colin Sanson first win in the AMS.
Okay. Does he want me to call it as well?
Yeah, go for it. Why not? Join in.
Yeah, I'll agree with you on Pete Newman, but I think Ollie Ricks will redeem himself and win in the wet.
Oh, that's not a bad shout, you know, because Ricks is super speedy in the wet. Super speedy. Phil says down hunt for the win. I agree, Phil. But I reckon it's going to be Newman. I think Newman's going to get it this time around. I really do. But let's bring you up the grid for race number 4. Steve Evans on pole, Siddons in 2nd, Littler 3rd, Hardy 4th, McLean 5th, then Wright in 6th, then Kellerman, Sanson, Ayres, Newman, Cullinan, Ricks, Tooney, Hunt and PVG. So your boy all the way down the backfield there. That's going to be an interesting one. And now we're going to find out how these guys are going to get on. I'm wondering what's going to happen here and who's going to wrap up what win and who's going to win. Well, we're going to find out very, very shortly. The lights are on. The drivers are getting wet in their no roofed cars with 5 lights. Race 4 in the rain is green, green, green. Steve Hefford gets the jump right at the beginning. We've got no Tooney, no PVG, but it looks like Hefford's got off the line. Siddons is going to try and come alongside him if she can here. Going into the first turn. It's not. Siddons going to get in now. Pulls out, looks for the braking marker. Don't forget, it is the rain. They're literally 4 airs, rights off. Oh, Hardy's round. Rights off and Hardy's round. And unfortunately, well, for Pete Newman, that moves him up into 7th here. But Wright and Hardy are off, Tom, already.
I'm not even sure Hardy took the warm-up session when he really should have done. So that could really explain why he had spun around the way he did into turn number 1. But it's Steve Hefford who takes an early lead from Fiona Siddons, who has kept her car clean so far, with Andy Little, Darren McLean and Colin Sanson next. Pete Newman up to 6th place, having issues with Colin Sanson, who's all over the place.
I've seen that so many times on that outside line where people run off and expect to have space given back to them there. There's no entitlement to give you space. He doesn't have to. You are off the circuit. But I can tell you one thing. Steve Hefford opening up 2.7 seconds. Newman's trying to slice through here if he can. He's alongside Ayres. Both of these guys in the rain, a little bit of a rain monsters. But let's see, Ayres sweeps around the outside. Ayres is looking to move up as well. Sanson's in there. Then we've got Littler in the 999 car, straight in front. Newman's going to come alongside. Hunt's on his way as well. Newman's got to be a little bit more muscly here. He's getting held up behind Sanson and Littler. He needs to kind of just go for it, Tom, I think. Oh, Sanson and Littler. Oh. Sanson all out of shape, comes back onto the track, and there was Jamie Ayres. Dan Hunt, sorry.
Yeah, well, he was nowhere near comfortable in the wet, as we saw maybe in the warm-up and in the race so far, and that really very nearly took out Dan Hunt. Dan Hunt would have been absolutely furious with Colin Sanson there, but he's lucky to stay in this one. But Fiona Siddons and Darren McLean going into combat there. McLean in front before they approach Bacchini for the first time, and we come around to complete the first lap. It's taken him over 2.5 minutes to get the first lap completed it. Hefford already shooting up 6 seconds clear of everyone else before the end of the first lap.
Yeah, there's still time. If it wasn't raining, I would say there's a big possibility that he's done. But unfortunately, due to the rain, and we've seen it multiple times here, it could be all over. But let's just see. McLean and Siddons side by side. Ricks and Newman side by side. Newman's hard on the brakes. He needs to get that car stopped. Ayres is stuck up the inside of McLean. Can't clear him. McLean parks it on the apex. Now Darren McLean holding on to that second place overall. 7 seconds up front now. Now it's 7 seconds up front. It's getting longer. Hunt's got it sideways. No surprise there for Jamie Ayres that he's got it sideways through that corner. But all in all, this rain is causing chaos.
Yeah, some drivers absolutely all over the place, just power sliding into the corners. They need to stop doing that, because when you are sliding around like that, you're not going forward.
No!
Oh, collision!
Fiona Siddons with Dan Hunt, but I don't think it was all on this one. Newman's given her loads of room around the outside. Rick's timed it up, contact, and then contact again with the two people that made contact in race number 3. Ayres has now got McLean. Newman's now in 4th. Hefford's now got 7.2. 6 points. He spun!
Oi!
Oh,
Yeah.
no! Hefford's dropped it! Dude, he was in the lead. He was in the lead. I said anything can happen in the rain. He hit the curb. Steve Hefford lost a 7-second lead. That's freed up McLean. That's freed up Ayres, Newman and Ricks. Oh, Steve Hefford there, all on his own. I said to you, it's not over.
Yeah, well, it's only the second lap, and they're coming around to complete lap 2 now. I think this will be a 6-lap race anyway, compared to 7 that we had in the earlier races. But McLean, for the first time this season, leads. And I think if he leads a lap, he'll get a couple of championship points, or a point at least anyway. So he's coming around to complete lap 2. Jamie Ayres right behind. Pete Newman up there. So Pete Newman in range to complete a Mugello clean sweep this evening. And yeah, it just goes to show you anything can happen now. You can just see the puddles forming on the side of the circuit towards the grass. And that's what you need to avoid doing. You need to avoid the puddles.
Which is almost a racing line. That's the problem. It's almost on the racing line. Ayres has just gone through a couple of puddles. He's got in deep. Is he going to be able to get that car stopped? Jamie Ayres, he does. Darren McLean lay off the curb. Ricks, the rain master, has come round. He's got past Pete Newman. Newman's under pressure with Hunt now. Is Newman going to be able to do it? I think, do you know what? I've got a funny feeling if you pick Ricks here, you're not going to be shy of getting this right, because Ollie is he's a rain hero almost.
Yeah, or Hunt's nearly losing it. He very nearly dropped it, and he had to let Hefford through, otherwise they would have come together. Hunt not having a good time of it, but at least Hefford is back in play here after that spin earlier. But to be honest, given the performance we've seen from him in the wet so far before he had that spin, it just shows he's got the fight in him to come back. Yeah,
he has, and nobody's doubting that he's got it. We're just doubting the fact that he dropped it. Yeah, I mean, he literally dropped it, and unfortunately for, Steve Hefford, it was out in front by 7 seconds. You know what I mean?
Oh, contact.
He's got
contact. Yeah, he had contact with Neiman. He nearly took both of them off there, James. Sorry to interrupt. But Hefford, remarkably, fighting his way back through the field ahead there of Dan Hunt. And now he's got Ollie Ricks in the way here before they get towards the right-hander that they're going through now. But that tells you something about Hefford's race so far.
Yeah, it does. He's on a mission. He's going to try and go alongside Ollie Ricks and make that overtake into the right-hander here. Is Ricks going to let him have it? Both of these guys seem very well confident in the rain. Are they going to come and end up making it through cleanly? The last thing they really want to do is make contact. Hefford does get through now. Next up for Steve Hefford is McLean. He's going to be able to have to try and hold on as best as he can into Buccini now. And Darren McLean has got Steve Efford, Ollie Ricks, Dan Hunt, and even Pete Newman. I don't know if Newman's quite got the pace in the rain, though, Tom, to make it 4 out of 4.
Well, no, I don't think he's stuck behind Hunt, and the fact that he was fighting with Ricks at San Donato tells you that he just doesn't have the confidence in him in the wet as he has done in the dry so far. Ayres' lead is over 2 seconds, but it's not a foregone conclusion by any stretch of the imagination. Hefford has got a chance to get through on McLean. If he could just be later on the brakes and get it done into San Donato, he'll be through safe and sound. There we go, look, on the inside of McLean, you can see Ricks following through as well. Do either of them go in too deep? Well, that tells you something about the amount of grip you can have by braking that much later. Or is it the fact that McLean is just nowhere near confident on the brakes into that particular corner?
Well, that's the possibility as well, isn't it? You know what I mean? It's a possibility there as well, that outside line has just got more grip on it than the normal inside racing line. And I think overall, it just shows you that the grip isn't always on the racing line. Oh, Newman, no! 4 out of 4 has gone out the window.
Yeah, he had contact with McLean going into Materazzi, did Newman and McLean. So that's Newman's chances of victory gone as far as... Oh, no, that's happened again! He's lost it!
Steve! What are you doing? He fought his way back up and then has gone and done it again. Steve Efford just drops it again.
And he's out. He's not even...
He's like,
he's not even continuing.
No, he's just had enough. He has literally just had enough. And decided enough is enough for Steve Efford. That is just crazy. He fought so hard to get back up to where he got to and then dropped it again.
What a huge shame, because I'd have liked to have seen him come back through again with the amount of time that we've got left. So that allows Pete Newman into 5th place. He's got 6 seconds to make up on Darren McLean, but at least Newman is on course for a pro podium. Dan Hunt will be making inroads on Ayres with only... I mean, where are we with the clock at the moment? We're at 6 minutes.
5 minutes.
5 minutes. So we've got 2 more laps of this race to do, which will be a 6-lap race.
I don't think he's going to get there. I don't know. Unless Ricks can help him, I don't think he's going to get there. Carl Hardy's into the pits, but he did just drive into the pits. So we can have a look back. I'm just wondering whether or not he... Oh, no, he just got it all wrong on the rain again. Oh, second time for Mr. Hardy there. And unfortunately, it might look like that Mr. Hardy might have benefited from going out in the practice session.
Dan Hunt under threat from Ollie Ricks. The gap between Ayres and Hunt is 3.2 seconds, but you can just see Hunt's getting the gap down all the time here. I don't know if he's had a really torrid first sector, but he's doing what he can. You can just see he's sliding through the corners just to try and make up the amount of time. And you can see how quickly he's making up the time here, but Ayres, for some reason, has managed to get the gap back up, and Ricks is going to pull alongside Hunt into the right and left here. I'm just trying to remember the corner names off by heart. It's Casanova and Casanova Savelli before they get to Arrabbiata 1 and 2. Hunt not close enough to go for it. He doesn't need to because he is on course for the AM victory. Darren McLean and Charles Kellyman on course for the AM podiums to go with it. Oh, and you can see Hunt's all over the place.
Yeah, Hunt's getting all a little bit loose. He is trying to defend against Ollie Ricks, though, and Ricks is quicker than what people give him credit for on that one. So, yeah, I think Ollie Ricks is going to be all over Hunt. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets through shortly.
And you can just see Ayres has just lapped Fiona Siddons by the looks of things. Siddons came into the pits for repairs, but she's still continuing on. And the battle for second place overall is still going. And I think this is a display of Ollie Ricks' class in these conditions. When he's at the top of his game as the rain comes down. He usually takes the fight with the pro drivers, and that tells you something about him.
Yeah, he's quick. Ollie Ricks in the rain, there's no doubt he is kind of just absolutely speedy. He's a Schumacher-esque, isn't he, in the rain? He does a great job, and he's one of these people that has just got it hooked up. But just, you know, I don't know. I think the problem is obviously for Ricks, he's up 10 places. So he had to fight through everybody, and there was cars going everywhere. There was cars going left, cars going right, cars going round. Look at Simmons' car, which is a prime example of what's happened on this race circuit here this evening. He's got no bumper. So for Ricks, he kind of had to take that time to get through before he's able to then come up against Dan Hunt, who is also quick in the rain. Ayres is looking quite comfortable. Hefford was a machine up until he made them 2 mistakes. He was absolutely flying as well. So, you know, there's lots involved in that.
Yeah, the amount of respect that Hunt and Ricks are leaving for each other is absolutely extraordinary. And it's great racing as well. And the way they're just leaving each other enough space through every corner of every lap tells you something about their rivalry. I think Kellerman and Sanson have swapped places as well. Kellerman up to third, in the AM class. Sanson down to 4th place. Kellerman has not had a good race compared to Ayres, Hunt and Newman, but at least he's still going to get 4th in Pro anyway. Andy Little is just on his own at the back, so he's got little to play for, but at least he's going to get some points for finishing.
Yeah, Newman and McLean. I think this is where it kind of started for Newman, getting stuck behind. Oh, Pete's got it wrong. Oh. To see the people going off the circuit in rain are the people that you wouldn't expect. Newman, you would expect him to be a rain master. Steve Hefford clearly was a rain master until it all went Pete Tong twice, mind you. He had to fight back through twice, and twice he made a mistake. And Sanson, oh, you're gonna knock, twitching like crazy for Colin Sanson there. I got a funny feeling we might be near the end of the race. Is this going to be 10? Is there going to be one more? No, it is. It's the checkered flag. Jamie Ayres is going to come over the line. He wasn't going to make it for the next lap. Checkered flag from Jamie Ayres. Oh, he's gone. Nope, he's back. Dan Hunt finishes in 2nd. Ollie Ricks in the arms there. Gets his, third win of the evening. Darren McLean comes over and grabs another podium. Great job from him. But yeah, I think the people that we're seeing going off here, Tom, has just been absolutely crazy. Kellerman and Sampson swapping places round Bricini. I want to follow this all the way down to the line. We'll get down to that situation very, very shortly, but it looks like Sampson's going to grab the final podium spot over Kellerman. But yeah, I think a couple of the pros will be looking to kick themselves here, I think, this evening. Not necessarily Pete Newman, but definitely the likes of Steve Hefford is going to be throttling himself considering how quick he was. Maybe Ralph Cullinan hasn't got a lot of rain experience. Pete Newman made a mistake, probably shouldn't have done. So yeah, I think there's a couple here, Tom, who's going to sit back and go, we shouldn't have done that.
Yeah, well, I'm surprised that Pete Van Gogh didn't take the start. I think Sir Alan Soon had his reasons why he didn't. But Steve Hefford will be the one that just, I can understand the feeling inside, and he'll be raging inside his headset at home. But it just would have been very nice to see him come back a little bit, because we were seeing it that from after the first spin at Arabiata 2, the fight in him tells you something that he had the pace in there, but by the time he had that second spin, he just totally gave up.
But then again, he's done all the hard work again and then gave up, which is fair enough. Jamie Ayres is in 1st, Dan Hunt in 2nd. Ollie Ricks and Darren McLean. Ricks takes the 3rd win in the arms here. Darren McLean wraps up his 2nd podium. And then you've got Pete Newman rounding off the podium for the pros, and Colin Sanson rounding off the podium for the AMs. Then you've got Charles Kellerman, Ralph Cullinan, Andy Littler, Fiona Siddons, Steve Pefford, Darrell Wright, Carl Hardy, Sir Alan 2, PVG. Literally 6 people a lap down. Absolutely insane. So, but there you go. And a very interesting evening of 4 races. And I think the rain played a big part.
Yeah, the 4th race certainly did. But let's not take anything away from Pete Newman's showing this evening, because as far as his form was concerned, he wasn't anything like what we've seen from Dunhon, Jamie Ayres and all that. But he turned up tonight with the performance of the season so far.
Sorry, who did? Say that again.
Pete Newman. Pete Newman turned up with the performance.
Yes, now I agree. I think the 3 out of 3 was amazing, and whether or not he could have wrapped it up for the 4th one, I think was, would have been mightily impressive. But, that's the racing wrapped up here as well. Final words from you, Tom, for this evening's racing?
Well done to everyone for turning up and putting on a good show. I know there's some that could have done better than they did. But they've got Oschersleben next week, the penultimate round of the summer campaign before we go to Daytona to wrap up the summer campaign. And we've got the autumn period coming up. I don't suppose we have any news on that, James, in terms of where they're going yet, but at least know that it will be happening at some point, maybe just not which circuits they're going to.
Yeah, we won't have the circuit list, unfortunately, at this moment in time. I haven't seen it coming out at any point that there is the new schedule, so I haven't seen that one there as well. But that's going to wrap it up for this evening. Thank you so much to everybody who has joined us in YouTube chat. Mr. Jones, Mr. Morton, Mr. Toon, of course, Phil, thank you so much. I can't say Mr. Phil, I don't know your last name. So well done to you all. Thank you so much for joining us. And Mr. Barry, who's just jumped in right at the end. But that's going to wrap it up, guys. Thank you so much for joining us here tonight on the JPB YouTube channel. Don't forget, like, subscribe, turn on the bells to do all the other fancy jazz. That would be absolutely amazing. But I've been James Parfitt. I've been alongside Tom Cairns here this evening. And as always, take care. Have a great week. And you never know, we might see you on a track sometime. Good night.
Jungle.